Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we're talking about that ransom you may have paid due to getting hit by ransomware. It may actually be tax deductible here in the United States. That's right. If you didn't know, here's what's going on, and this is coming from the Associated Press. Now, as ransomware attacks surge, the FBI has been doubling down on its guidance to affected businesses, and we'll get to this, but essentially they've consistently said don't pay the cyber criminals. But the US government also offers a little known incentive for those who actually do have to pay or just decide to pay. They may be tax deductible. Now, here's what's going on. The IRS offers no formal guidance on ransomware payments, but multiple tax experts interviewed by the AP said that deductions are usually allowed under law and established guidance. It's a quote-unquote silver lining to ransomware victims, as some tax lawyers and accountants put it. Now, those looking to discourage payments are less sanguine. Now, they fear the deduction is a potentially problematic incentive that could entice businesses to pay ransoms against the advice of law enforcement. At a minimum, they say the deductibility sends a discordant message to businesses under duress. Now, deductibility is a piece of a larger quandary as well. The government doesn't want payments that fund criminal gangs and could encourage more attacks, but failing to pay can have devastating consequences for businesses and potentially for the economy overall. The companies that pay ransomware demands directly are well within their rights to claim a tax deduction, according to experts. To be tax deductible, business expenses should be considered ordinary and necessary. Companies have long been able to deduct losses for more traditional crimes such as robbery or embezzlement, and experts say ransomware is valid as well in that vein. Now, for years, ransomware was more of an economic nuisance than a major national threat, but attacks launched by foreign cyber gangs out of reach of U.S. law enforcement have been prolific, just growing in scale over the past year or so, and therefore, here we are. We are seeing this constantly. Colonial Pipeline, JBS, I do breaches of the week. Those videos are getting longer every single week. It's absolutely nuts. So, in response, top U.S. law enforcement officials have begun urging companies not to meet ransomware demands to try to stem that tide. Officials warn, though, that payments lead to more ransomware attacks. But here we are. So if you're looking at this, there are many considerations to paying a ransom, but the two core reasons are: one, you've got to unlock your data because either your backups were hit or you didn't have good backups to begin with, and your only recourse is to pay to get your data back so you can actually continue operating as a business. Without your data, you're probably dead in the water. Or two, reputation damage to yourself and to your customers. There's a calculation for risk that's involved with this, but this is actually a very serious problem. Now, under the Trump administration, essentially what we saw was the Department of Treasury basically issuing an order saying that if the attackers are known to be sitting in an adversarial country, let's say Russia, for example, that's been in the news, then insurance companies here in the United States don't pay that. They are not allowed to actually pay that out to a Russian gang or another adversarial country of those gangs that are in their borders, because it's potentially funding our adversaries. But this is actually a really huge problem that we have, in the sense that we also need businesses to have cyber insurance, and they may be less inclined to actually get cyber insurance if they think that, well, the Russians are hacking everybody, and if insurance isn't going to pay, then why am I paying them? And I think that's also another consideration that we have to have here. I don't necessarily know if this is basically incentivizing businesses to pay ransoms for a tax deduction so much as it is the calculations that I just mentioned here. I'd be very curious to know your thoughts, though. I'm not an accountant. I don't even pretend to play one on TV or on the internet. But if you are, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Because it would make sense if you can deduct embezzlement, or another kind of theft traditionally for your company, then ransomware would be no different for that. It still doesn't stem the tide of these things. I don't necessarily think it emboldens the attackers, though. But I could predict right now that we may see, if the attackers actually start getting wind of this, the criminal gangs, they may start including this in their ransomware. Hey, don't bother paying us. No, that's not what I meant to say. I meant, you should absolutely pay us because it's also tax deductible. thank you, Uncle Sam. So pay your ransom because basically you're going to get a deduction, on your taxes. Not to mention your cyber insurance may actually cover this. So I think this is going to be a very interesting issue as it's coming up. We'll see where this goes. But as of right now, if you're a business in the United States and you're going under a ransomware threat, talk to your accountant. You may actually have a deduction if you have to pay this ransom. And obviously, you shouldn't if you don't have to. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, everyone.